I'm going to tell you, get it in your record. We've all had the conversation where, or just, a senior person like, oh, make sure that gets in your medical record because you're going to need it for the VA. Well, that conversation usually stops like right there. This is the stuff that tells you how to do it. So, what's up, MILFAM? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Angela Tackett, and today I'm going to talk to you about the CFR 38 and why that's important if you're in the military, even if you're out of the military. So if you've never heard of the CFR 38, you're going to want to stick around because it's definitely going to benefit you. I previously did a video about how to access your medical record and why that's important, and not only how to access it, but how to actually screen your medical record to make sure that it's accurate. If you didn't catch that video, I'll link it above somewhere, so check that one out first and then come back to this one for supplemental information. Okay, so the CFR 38, what is it? It's the Code of Federal Regulations, and we are specifically going to be looking at Book C, or Book Charlie, and it's the Schedule for Disability Ratings. The fastest way that I have found to get there is to just Google it. CFR 38. Okay, now you want to make sure, because you want the latest and greatest, right? You want to make sure that you choose the va.gov websites, because this is through the VA. It's a VA regulation, so make sure you're using that site. There are a lot of law firms who represent veterans who are trying to get higher ratings or trying to file initially. So there's a lot of law firms, like I said. So you want to go to the va.gov because that's what the VA is going to be using when determining these ratings. So here we go. All right, the 38 CFR is what it says here. Everyone just says CFR 38. Book C, Schedule for Rating Disabilities. This is the document, or documents, if you will, that the VA uses to take your claims, the disabilities, illnesses, ailments, scars. There's a whole slew of things that you can claim. They take what you claim, they take your medical records or any type of supporting documentation, and then they take this set of documents and they compare them. This document right here tells them what they're looking for in your record for specific areas of the body and how much of the rating or how much of a rating that you get for these ailments or disabilities. Essentially, it just gives you a list of symptoms that you need for certain ratings. This is broken down by systems of the body, so musculoskeleton, skeletal, auditory, ears, infectious diseases, immune disorders, respiratory, so lungs, breathing, cardiovascular, heart, digestive system, GERD. A lot of people I've heard who have eaten MREs for years have stomach issues, GI issues. The way that this is set up, it corresponds with the appendices up here. It's in the same order when you scroll down. So we have musculoskeletal. It's got a bunch of supporting documentation that gives you descriptions and whatnot, but la creme a la crop is going to be the very last file in each one of these clusters, and it's the schedule of ratings. This is where you're going to look to see what ailments, what symptoms that those ailments are causing, correlate with what percentage the VA will give you for them. It's kind of annoying because they're Word documents. Not a good example at all. Let's see. Let's do mental disorders. That seems to be a popular topic. A thing to know about mental disorders: there are several different types of disorders. you can claim them separately, but when the VA does its actual rating, they're going to cluster them together. There's a thing called pyramiding. You can do some research on it. They just don't want to overcompensate you for the same type of like diagnoses, even though, like I said, there are different mental disorders. So it lists all of the mental orders that fall under this specific section in the CFR 38. And here's how they determine your rating, right? 100%, 70%, 50, 30, 10, 0. 0 is not a bad thing. 0 is non-compensable, so you won't get paid for it. But straight out of the military, if you get 0% for something, that means that the VA sees it as service-connected. If later on in life, so you have a diagnosis, they say you were diagnosed in service, it's not causing you any issues, but it is there, right? 10, 20, 50 years down the road, that service-connected ailment has other conditions that have stemmed from it, or now you're showing symptoms that are causing you, that are disrupting your life and normal activities, right? That's when you can come back to the VA and ask for an increase, and they'll reevaluate and see, what symptoms, and determine if they'll give you a rating, a higher rating, or an increase. If you get out and it's not service connected because you didn't claim it and it wasn't documented, when you get out after it's been a year, because you have 1 year after you separate from the military, whether it's retirement, separation, med board, whatever it is, you have 1 year that's called like a presumptive period. So anything that you get diagnosed with for 12 months after you leave or exit the military, that is presumed to be caused from your time in service, and they will service connect it. After that 12 months, say something pops up that you forgot to claim, or something you were embarrassed to go to medical for is causing you major issues and you want to claim it with the VA, your first step is to have to find a doctor to give you a diagnosis, and then they have to fill out a nexus letter, which is essentially just a letter that's saying that they, in their medical opinion, they think that this condition is caused by your military service. Send it to the VA. VA deems whether it's service connected or not. And that's where we are. You then, if it comes back service connected, which who knows how long that's going to take, if it comes back service connected, then you have to apply for an increase, for a rating. So it's a pain if you don't just do, I don't want to say do the work, just take care of your health. Go to medical. I know everybody hates going to medical. It's such a pain. Like, people are sometimes not the friendliest. Whatever. Just make sure that you are documenting. And then when you watch my other video and figure out what is in your medical record, you can bounce it off of the CFR 38 to get a good idea of what you need to claim and what symptoms that you may have. Like, you could read through this and there could be symptoms that you have that you just don't realize you have until you see it and you're like, oh wow, like that's a thing for me. I'm part of the VA Claims and Pensions Facebook group, and I will put a link to that in the description, and that is just a wealth of knowledge. But for instance, obsessional rituals which interfere with routine activities, okay? To me, I'm thinking, all right, that's like OCD, got it. I'm thinking that's something along the lines of, I gotta knock 3 times on the counter before I brush my teeth, and if I don't knock 3 times, then I can't go to sleep, kind of thing. Like, I thought it was like a weird obsessional ritual in like an extreme OCD realm, right? I took obsessional rituals and I searched in that Facebook group, and what came up was things like, I have to check the locks on my doors 3 times. I do it twice. If I go to bed, I don't trust that I check them properly. I get up out of bed, I don't go to sleep, I check the locks again, and then I go back and lay down finally. Um, Myself, after I read a few examples of what people, you know, um, associated with the obsessional rituals, it's like, you know what? Like, I have an issue with blinds. Like, who would ever just think about, like, oh, I have this obsessional ritual about blinds? But I am super uncomfortable if the blinds in my house are down. Like, if I need them to be up so people cannot, like, see into my house. So, I don't know. That's like a weird little thing that I have that I just didn't think was a thing, you know? So, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is not every mental disorder, and this is not every symptom for every mental disorder. And you don't need to have every symptom listed in these clusters of symptoms. I know I just said symptom like 50 times, I'm sorry. But, you know, if you are suffering from any of these, go seek help. I don't I don't care if you think your command's not going to like you because you went to medical. Like, your mental health is more important than your command, because if you're out, pull chocks, kick rocks, they're just going to replace you. So be good to you, take care of yourself, do your research. If you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Feel free to link up with me on LinkedIn, hit like, subscribe. I do not get paid for this. This is just things that I have found throughout my career that I feel we should have been told, you know, earlier on. And I get it. Right out of boot camp, like, I think if I sat through a training like this, I'd be like, bro, I don't care, you know, but at least I would have been exposed to it. So later on down the line, I'd have been like, oh, hey, I can check my medical record. Like, I can make sure that stuff is accurate. Oh, you know what? I'm at my 10-year mark. I'm at my 8-year mark. When I hit 10 years, I'm going to get out. Okay, well, now you can start doing your research and prepare early, because time and time again, I don't care how senior they are, people scramble, man. There's a lot going on during transition, and it's inevitable. We are all going to exit the military at some point. So if you can get a leg up by knowing a few simple things and just while you're in, taking care of these things, like, I'm going to tell you, get it in your record. We've all had the conversation where, or just, you know, a senior person like, oh, make sure that gets in your medical record because you're going to need it for the VA. Well, that conversation usually stops like right there. This is the stuff that tells you how to do it. So if you know anybody that needs this information, please share it. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit me up on LinkedIn, comment, ask questions. If it was terrible, go ahead and tell me that too. Anyways, if you have any video ideas, let me know, but I definitely have some more coming, so stay tuned.